Every year, draft hopefuls go to Indianapolis, Indiana for what many call the Underwear Olympics. I'm going to tell you what to look out for this year at the NFL Combine. Welcome to Billievers Talk. My name is Joe, and welcome to this Combine edition of Billievers Talk, where I get you ready for the NFL Combine. Guys, my name is Joe. If you're new to this channel, we cover all Buffalo sports here, especially our Buffalo Bills. So you want to make sure, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and leave a comment. And also, don't forget, after you hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. YouTube will notify you, or at least they're supposed to, when I put out new content. So make sure you hit that notification bell and hit that like button. Helps out the channel a great deal, so I really do appreciate it. But let's get you ready for the NFL Combine. Now, some of you might not know this. The NFL Combine actually has already begun. The NFL Combine begun on Sunday, February 23rd. I'm posting this video on Wednesday, so it's already been going on for a couple days now. However, there have been no on-field drills. So you might be asking, Joe, what are they doing if there's no on-field drills? What do they do between Sunday and Thursday, which is the first day of on-field drills? Well, this is the time where teams can come in and interview players. Now, teams have a limited numbers of players that they can interview, but everyone is up for grabs. So if a team wants to interview you, of course you're going to take the interview, right? You're not going to deny an interview as you're getting ready for the draft with a team. That's not going to look good. However, normally every year you hear inevitably one team asks the wrong question to one of these or multiple of these NFL or hopefully NFL hopefuls, and that's when this is when that happens, right? They bring you in for an interview. They want to talk to you. They want to get to know you. They want to kind of get you off balance a little bit sometimes. See how you respond to certain questions. Some NFL teams sometimes take that a little bit too far. Not only are they doing that interview process right now, you also talk about your basic measurements, right? Height, weight, things like that, hand size. That's when this kind of stuff is going on as well. You get to see that. So there's some things going on right now. Now, different positions show up on different days. I believe that the tight end showed up on Sunday to start things off, and then each position has their own day up to Wednesday, and that's when all the positions should be there in Indianapolis. And then Thursday, like I said, starts the on-field drills with the quarterbacks, wide receivers, and tight ends all starting on Thursday, 4 o'clock Eastern time. So if you're really interested in the on-field drills, Thursday's really the first day you start paying attention. Let me know in the comment section, do you guys watch the NFL Combine, or do you just wait until all of these Bills YouTube channels come out and give you their reaction to the NFL Combine, and then you really know who to look at the NFL Draft? You better believe that I will have you covered not only before the Combine in this video. After the Combine, I'm going to tell you who impressed me, who let me down, and who the Bills should be looking at now as the NFL Draft approaches. So let's talk about the NFL Combine. Let's talk about Thursday. Let's talk about that wide receiver group, right? Obviously, a lot of Bills fans know that wide receiver might be a position need for the Buffalo Bills going into the NFL Draft. If you are a fan of this channel, you know that I've talked about the wide receiver position a lot. However, I don't think wide receiver is the first position of need for the Buffalo Bills, and a lot of Bills fans want speed when they talk about wide receiver. I would love to have speed, but I think it's more important for this Bills group, who have been called the Smurfs by their own head coach, to get size. We need to get size. We need to get taller at that wide receiver position. Give Josh Allen a target in the red zone more than just Dawson Knox. Dawson Knox sits at 6'5", and that's tall, and that's great for a tight end. However, you need to get pressure off of him and have another 6-foot-plus guy in the red zone who can take that pressure off Dawson Knox to catch everything in the red zone. So when I looked at some of the wide receivers to watch, I looked at some lower value guys, right? We all know about the great wide receivers that are in this draft class. I didn't take a look at those guys because we already know what we're getting out of them, right? We already know what we're getting out of some of these bigger CD Lamb. We know what we're getting out of these big guys that we want to see if the Buffalo Bills possibly get in the first round. I looked at some of the later rounds and said, who are the guys that interest me now that I'm looking at the later rounds, possibly day 2, maybe even day 3, which guys do I want to watch and say, hey, he might be worth taking the flyer on and not necessarily using a first-round pick on a wide receiver. So the first name that popped out to me, and these are all in alphabetical order is Omar Bayless, wide receiver of Arkansas State. He stands at 6'3". In 2019, he had 93 receptions for 1,653 yards and 17 touchdowns. And I know that Arkansas State, their level of competition isn't like a Power 5 conference, right? You're not going to look at Arkansas State and think that they're going up against the best competition. However, when you're scoring 17 touchdowns, I think you're doing something right. Because remember, not only are you not playing against the best level competition, you're not playing with the best level competition either if you're playing for Arkansas State. But again, that's no knock on Arkansas State. That's no knock on the players that play for that team or in that conference. They're playing college football at a high level. And at that high level, again, Omar Bayless, 93 receptions, 1,653 yards, and 17 touchdowns. Now, when you watch Omar Bayless on Thursday, if you are going to watch the NFL Combine, if you're looking at Omar Bayless, and that's the first time you're hearing this name is in this video, you say 93 receptions, why are we not hearing more about him? Well, there's two reasons, really. One, because he's not that fast, right? We all know that everyone wants speed, right? You can't teach speed, but you can't teach height either. So you have to take the good with the bad. So watch his 40 time, especially those first 10 yards. How does he break, right? Does he break out fast? Or does it take him some time? If he runs his 40 time below 4.5, maybe even if he gets to 4.4, expect his draft stock to really improve. And then you have to ask yourself, is this the type of guy that the Buffalo Bills want? Not only do you have to watch his 40 time, guys, you have to watch how he does with his routes, okay? When he does the quarterback drills with the quarterback and the defensive corner on him, see how he runs his routes. Does he run clean, crisp routes? Because that's one of the things that he was getting knocked on for in college. So let's see how he does there. Now that he's had time to prep for the NFL Combine, now that he has time to prep for his pro day whenever that is coming up, now let's see how he does with the route running. Let's see how he does with the speed. Can he improve on that, or at least be faster than what a lot of the experts think he is, and then really improve his draft stock? But that's someone, Omar Bayless, someone that I'm really looking at on Thursday at the NFL Combine. Continuing down this list, I have a name that most of you have mentioned, or you know who he is just because of the school he played for, at least in college football. And that's going to be Chase Claypool, wide receiver at Notre Dame, standing at 6'4". Chase Claypool had a good year for Notre Dame in 2019, 66 receptions, 1,037 yards, and 13 touchdowns. But I don't want to talk about all he does as a receiver. He does a great job just catching the ball and getting into the end zone with his 13 touchdowns last season. What goes underrated, because he is a wide receiver, is how well he blocks for his running backs, okay? And that's very important for a team like the Buffalo Bills. We need wide receivers who aren't afraid of a little contact. I love me a little contact, Petey. You know, you gotta have a guy that's not afraid to get those good blocks when we have someone like Singletary with the ball who takes those shuffles out to the left or right side. We need someone who can get that seal block at the wide receiver position and let him go around. And that's something that Chase Claypool is really good at doing. He was really good at doing that in Notre Dame. Expect him to continue to do that in the NFL. Now, when you're watching Chase Claypool at the NFL Combine, you want to watch how he does against press coverage. That was something that, I won't say bad, but that's something that definitely he could have worked on in his 4 years in college. Definitely something you saw on tape, right? When he gets pressed, he kind of loses a step, and it takes him a minute to get back. It takes him a step or two to get back on his route. Let's see how he does in press coverage. Again, when you were talking about that route running drill, let's see how he does there and see if he can improve in press. Maybe move up from a round 3 pick up to an early round 3, maybe late round 2 type guy, a guy that the Buffalo Bills might be able to get late day 2. If we can get him day 3, that would be unbelievable. I just don't think that he is going to be available at that time. Going down that list, I'm going to talk about Antonio Gandy-Golden. Before I do, guys, one guy that I wished we could have seen was Brian Edwards, wide receiver out of South Carolina. Unfortunately, he will not be participating in on-field drills. He broke his foot while getting ready for the NFL Combine, so he won't be participating. But you're talking about a guy who had 71 receptions, 816 yards, and 6 touchdowns in 2019. That was with missing 2 games due to an injured knee. Unfortunately, when he's getting ready for the combine, he breaks his foot, so we will not be seeing him. But that's someone I want to keep my eye on, especially for South Carolina's Pro Day. When that comes up, might be interesting to see what he does there. But I want to talk about Antonio Gandy Golden, AGG, as he's been referred to, wide receiver out of Liberty, standing at 6'4". I think this guy has great potential in the NFL. Again, talking about Liberty, so you know you're not talking about the upper echelon of competition at the college football level, not talking about the Power 5 conferences again, but still talking about some pretty good numbers, back-to-back 70-plus yards reception seasons. I mean, 79 receptions for 1,396 yards and 10 touchdowns in 2019. That's pretty impressive no matter what school you play at. When I'm watching him on Thursday, one thing I'm going to watch out for is his concentration and his catch radius when you're talking about that catch drill that the wide receivers do when the balls are coming at you from all different angles. I want to watch his concentration. I had a few concentration type drops at the collegiate level while I played at Liberty, just wasn't paying attention or just seemed a little lackadaisical, if you will, when he was on the field. So I want to see how his concentration is now that he knows he's going up to the next level. Now that he knows that this can really affect his career, his livelihood, how much concentration does he put into it now? Because if he doesn't put a lot of concentration into it at the NFL Combine, when will he? Right? You're talking about potentially having a huge contract or getting drafted early enough to get the potential for a huge contract in your NFL career. You should be taking this pretty seriously. So I want to see some seriousness out of AGG this week. Again, Thursday, Antonio Gandy Golden, look out for him, 6'4", out of Liberty. Then I'm looking at Denzel Mims, wide receiver out of Baylor, 66 receptions last season for 1,020 yards, 12 touchdowns, not that bad. Now you want to watch this guy's 40 time. Again, a lot of scouts predicting that he'll run in the 4.6s. If he can get that moved up into the 4.4s, 4.3s, again, especially those first 10 yards, how well does he break, right? That's very important. That's something you get knocked on for in college. Let's see how he breaks in the first 10 yards and watch that 40 time. If he can get into the late 4.4s, maybe early 4.5s, then I think you'll see Denzel Mims' draft stock go up. However, that's definitely someone that's going to be a day 3 type guy. And if the Buffalo Bills can get a 6'3" wide receiver who can be a starting wide receiver in the NFL, you want to look out for that Denzel Mims. Look out for him. And then the last guy on my list is another guy that a lot of people have mentioned, and that is Michael Pittman, wide receiver out of USC. Out of all the guys I just mentioned, Michael Pittman's the only guy on my watch for list that has over 100 receptions in his season in 2019. 101 receptions, 1,275 yards, and 11 touchdowns in 2019 at USC. Pretty impressive numbers. Again, 6'4" wide receiver, knows how to get into the end zone, great with 50-50 balls. I want to watch how he does in press coverage, just like I said with Chase Claypool. I want to see how he does with that press coverage, just like Chase. Whenever it seemed like he would get pressed, he seemed to lose a step on his route running ability. Want to see him break those presses and get open downfield, maybe even break a route and go deep on some of these corners. These NFL corners know how to play press coverage, so if they're pressing you, I want to see how well you can do against that press and maybe even beat it. And let's see him do that on Thursday. That might help his draft stock. Again, look out for Michael Pittman. So again, the 5 guys at wide receiver that I'm looking out for: Omar Bayless, Chase Claypool, AGG, Denzel Mims, and Michael Pittman. Again, wish we could see Brian Edwards. Unfortunately, due to the broken foot, will not be seeing him on Thursday when the wide receivers do their drills. So next, I want to talk about the defensive end position. Your defensive ends are going to start their on-field drills on Saturday. So if you're interested in watching the defensive ends, again, I think a position need for the Buffalo Bills, watch on Saturday, 4 o'clock Eastern time on NFL Network to watch what these guys can do. A couple guys of interest here as well. Again, not going to get into the big names, not going to get into the names that will probably be in the first round. I'm looking more for these depth guys. who do I like who the Bills can get in the second or third round? So those are the guys I'm interested in. I know what Chase Young can do. All right, I've seen him. He's a monster. He's a beast. It's going to be fun watching him at the NFL Combine. I'm sure he'll put on a show. Actually, no, today a report came out that he won't be doing on-field drills, so never mind. But that type of player, we know what he's going to do. So there's no point in looking out for him. Let's talk about the guys that could sneak into day 2, maybe even still day 3, that can still make an impact, still make a difference for our Buffalo Bills. Let's start with Bradlee Anae, defensive end from Utah, standing at 6'3". Guys, if you watch my post-Senior Bowl coverage, you heard me talk about this guy then. He was a monster at the Senior Bowl. And if you thought he was a monster at the Senior Bowl, wait till you hear his 2019 stats for Utah. He had 13 sacks in 2019 and 14 tackles for a loss. This guy was constantly in the backfield, getting pressure on the quarterback, getting pressure on the running back, just causing havoc for the opposing team. I really like this guy, Bradlee Anae. Now, when you're watching the drills on Saturday, you want to watch his footwork, okay? Sometimes he struggles with footwork. Sometimes he goes out a little too wide on the offensive lineman, offensive tackles when he's trying to get around. So watch how he does that. Watch his spin move, okay? See what kind of spin move he brings into the NFL. Again, when you're talking about the NFL, obviously these offensive tackles know how to handle a little bit of a spin move. They know how to handle some of the moves that you might have gotten away with in college. So let's see how he does with his footwork now that he's going up against some of the best NFL hopefuls at the offensive line position, right? When you do that best on best drill that they do, that is some of the most fun football for me at the NFL Combine. We see an offensive lineman go up against a defensive end as they just go back and forth in between the cones. I think that's amazing. That's something I'm really going to be watching when we talk about Bradlee Anae out of Utah. Moving down this list, I really like Marlon Davidson, defensive end out of Auburn, standing at 6'3" as well. 6.5 sacks last season, 11.5 tackles for loss. So he has some pretty good numbers coming into the NFL Combine. This is the guy that might be a day 2 pick, but maybe get away with a day 3 type selection. Not sure, but again, Buffalo has a lot of late picks. They can definitely move up into day 2 with more than one draft pick. You know, you talk about currently having 1 second, 1 third. Let's maybe bundle some things together, get 2 seconds, maybe get 2 or 3 thirds, and leave less for day 3. I would be okay with that. I'm sure you would be too. Talk to me about where you want to pick up the defensive end. Leave a comment. Do you want to pick up defensive end in the first round, or do you think we should wait until day 2, rounds 2 or 3, and address the defensive end position? Or do you think we go there in free agency? We'll definitely talk about that. So if you haven't already hit that subscribe button, hit that subscribe button as we get ready for free agency. We get ready for the NFL draft. A lot of news coming your way. So hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell. Next guy I want to talk about is A.J. Epineza from Iowa. I really like this guy as well. 6'5", a little bit taller than the other 2 defensive end. 11.5 sacks last season, 14 tackles for a loss. So again, a guy just like Anae from Utah finds himself in the backfield a lot, finds himself at the quarterback. 11.5 sacks last season, really impressive. I want to watch his ability to change direction in like a 3-cone drill or something like that. See what his time is there, because that was something he got a knock for in college. See how well he does. See how well he does on those 1-on-1 drills with changing directions, because they make you change directions a bunch as well. See how he does, and then that might help his draft stock go up. Might see him as a day 2, late day 1 prospect. I'm not sure where a lot of the draft coverage is having him. It varies depending on where you go. So you will see him probably day 2, but maybe he sneaks into late round 1. We'll see what happens there. And then the last guy I want us to talk about is Khalid Kareem, defensive end out of Notre Dame, 6'4", 5.5 sacks last season, 10 tackles for a loss. Had a pretty good year for Notre Dame. Notre Dame always has a formidable defense. So another guy from that Notre Dame school, you know he's playing against top competition, so you know that he has some legitimacy when you talk about 5.5 sacks last year. Watch his hands. His hands have been a big issue while he was in Notre Dame. He needs to do a better job of holding his frame and being able to kind of push back the offensive tackle. So watch where his hands go when you talk about the offensive tackle position. Do they try to lift him up and move him out of the way, or is he putting him in too tight, and that way he's unable to move the offensive lineman, offensive tackle back more like you wanted to see him do when he is playing against some of the NFL competition that's out there. So those are 4 guys that I'm interested in. Leave a comment. One of these guys, if any of these guys are you interested in watching, who are any of these guys are you interested in watching on Saturday. And then I talk about the offensive guards. The offensive guards will be starting, the offensive line will be doing their drills on Friday. So if you're interested in watching the offensive line, again, I personally think offensive guard might be our biggest position of need currently. Now, if we address that in free agency, that obviously changes things, but currently I think offensive guard is the Buffalo Bills' biggest position of need. I know a lot of you would say it's wide receiver. Let me know in the comment section, what do you think the Buffalo Bills' biggest position of need is right now before free agency begins? And I'm looking at the offensive guard. There's two guys I really have in mind I'm going to watch on Friday. The first guy I'm going to be watching is going to be Ben Bredeson from Michigan. Ben Bredeson was a 4-year starter at the offensive guard position for the Michigan Wolverines, standing at 6'5" tall. Now, I know when we're talking about offensive guards at the NFL Combine, it's not as exciting as a wide receiver, a tight end, or even a defensive end. But you have to watch these guys. You have to see how they do against, competition that, again, is looking to be at the next level as well. So you got to see how they do. For Ben Bredeson, the one thing I'm really looking at is how fast he can get to the second level. This guy is someone who's been labeled as having heavy feet, which means he has a tough time getting to that second level. Well, we need an offensive guard, especially in a run-happy type offense that we want to be, right? We need someone who can get to the second level and help Devin Singletary break some pretty big runs. So that's something I'm going to be looking at with Ben Bredeson. Again, offensive guard out of Michigan, was a 4-year starter there. One of his best attributes is firing out on power-based rushing attacks. So when you talk about having someone like Frank Gore back there, those 3rd and 1s, those big Josh Allen runs, he's great at those. But I want to see how he does at getting to the second level, so that way Devin Singletary can break those 10, 15, 20-yard runs. And hopefully, like we talked about on Monday, have a chance to win that rushing title. The next guy I'm looking at is Shane Lemieux, offensive guard out of Oregon, standing at 6'4", played mostly at the left guard position in Oregon, so you wonder how that does. I feel like right guard is more of our need than left guard right now for the Buffalo Bills, but let me know in the comment section if you agree with that or not. But he played at Oregon, has good size for offensive guard, and I want to watch his base during the passing drills. Sometimes wides out his base just a little bit too much. We want to see that get drilled into him, that he should be narrowing his base. That way it makes it harder for the defensive tackles to get past him. We saw that a lot with Jordan Phillips. What he was doing was he was forcing offensive guards to move their base and then open up their base more than they want to. You saw him dip inside, and that's what helped him get to those 9.5 sacks this season. So those are the 3 positions I'm going to be watching. You talk about wide receiver on Thursday, you talk about defensive ends on Sunday, and then you talk about offensive guards, defensive ends on Saturday, and then offensive guards on Friday. Those are the 3 positions I'm going to be watching. What are you going to be watching at the NFL Combine? Go ahead and leave me a comment. Let me know what you're interested in. Let me know if you even watch the NFL Combine, or if you just wait for these videos to let you know who did well, who didn't do well. Maybe YouTube some things that happened at the NFL Combine. But again, guys, if you're new to this channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like this video, and leave a comment. Like I said, what are you looking out for the NFL Combine? Which wide receivers are names that you are looking forward to watching? I look forward to talking to you all soon when we talk about our post Combine coverage and say who impressed and who didn't. Lots of videos going on between then and now, so make sure, again, you hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. I'll talk to you all soon. Until I do, go Bills.